Hello again, everyone, and it's time for maths now. Now, last week you were fantastic on Friday at finding equivalence between meters and centimeters. So we knew that 100 centimeters totaled 1 meter, and we were able to do some conversions using that. Now, today we're going to be thinking about converting between millimeters and centimeters. Because there's 10 millimeters in every 1 centimeter, we're going to be working with tens today. So just start off by pausing the video here and having a quick recap on what we already know about tens. So have a go at these questions and come back as soon as you're ready. Okay, so when we're completing the sequence, obviously that was going up in tens, so 50 and 60. How many tens are there in 38? It's 3, there's 3 tens. And our part whole model here, 72, is made up of 2 ones and 7 tens. So as I said, it's all about centimeters to millimeters today. Now, although in centimeters, there's that really useful kind of bit of the word cent means 100. So there's 100 centimeters in a meter. It doesn't work quite the same way for millimeters to centimeters. Milli does mean 1,000. So there are 1,000 millimeters to a meter, but it's not 1,000 millimeters to a centimeter. So we can't use the word to help us. Just one of those things we need to know, which is that there are 10 millimeters in every centimeter. And if you look at a ruler like the one we've got here, you will often see there's little markings in between 0 and 1, and of course there are 10. So each one of those tiny little markings, it's a really, really minuscule amount here, each one of those is a millimeter. Now, let's have a look at how we can do this then. So what's the length of this bar? We've got really good at reading the lengths of things. This is 8 centimeters long. Now let's have a look at that with a slightly different scale. Let's put up some millimeters as well. And hopefully when we compare between these two rulers with the two different scales, you can see that for each 1 centimeter, it's 10 millimeters. So 1 centimeter, 10 millimeters, 2 centimeters, 20, 3 centimeters, 30 millimeters, and so on. So the bar in this case is 80 millimeters long. Here is another sort of comparative scale then. So we've got centimeters along the top, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So what's it going to say here underneath 1? How many millimeters is 1 centimeter? It's 10. Keep counting up with me then. So 2 centimeters is 20, 3 centimeters is 30, 4 centimeters is 40, 5 centimeters is 50, 6 centimeters is 60, 7 centimeters is 70, 8 is 80, 9 is 90. What's 10? That's right, it's 100. Well done. So 7 centimeters is 70 millimeters, no problem. We can convert then by thinking about a scale like this. So if we need to easily work out the millimeters, we can think about timesing it by 10. So let's do it backwards then. How many centimeters is 30 millimeters? It's 3, isn't it? So we know that for every 1 centimeter, we're talking about 10 millimeters. These are equivalent lengths. And remember, equivalent was that vocabulary we looked at last week. Equivalent has the same root word as equal. So 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters or equivalent to it. 4 centimeters, what's that equivalent to? Say it out loud. So it's 4 lots of 10, it's 40 millimeters. What about 20 millimeters? How many centimeters is that? It's 2 altogether. So let's zoom in a little bit on our scale here. Notice that the ruler's scale is talking about millimeters. We can see that mm on there. Now, let's just break that down a little bit further. Between our 50 and 60 millimeters, let's have a think about these really, really specific measurements in between. So we know that 50 millimeters is equal to how many centimeters? 5. What about, though, 51 millimeters? A bit trickier when we've got some ones to deal with as well. Well, let's break it down with a part whole model. Our 51 millimeters, let's think about that in tens and as ones. So how many tens are there in this? There's 5 tens or 50 millimeters, and that leaves us with the 1 millimeter left over as well. So our 50 millimeters, we know that already, don't we? We know that 50 millimeters is, that's right, 5 centimeters, and we've got our 1 millimeter left over. So we can call 51 millimeters 5 centimeters and 1 millimeter. And it's the same going up the scale then. So our next one is 52 millimeters. We can partition that again. So we've got our 50 millimeters or 5 centimeters and 2 millimeters left over. And we could do that all the way up the scale, couldn't we? So it would be 5 centimeters and 3 millimeters, 5 centimeters and 4, and so on. What's that last one at the top going to be? If we've got 60 millimeters, how many centimeters is that? That's when we go up to 6 centimeters. Last question, I think. So looking here, we've got a scale of centimeters and the arrow is pointing to 2. So we know that that's how many millimeters? That's right, 20. What about when we're halfway between some centimeters? If you're measuring with a ruler and you end up halfway between 4 and 5 centimeters, what are we going to call that? Well, let's have a think. So we know that 4 centimeters is at one end, 5 centimeters at the other. So we know that that's 40 millimeters and 50 millimeters. So what can it be when it's halfway in between then? Well, it's going to be 45, isn't it? We could count up on our scales, or we could have thought about what number is between 40 and 50, but we're going to get to 45 millimeters. And that means we're going to have 4 centimeters and 5 millimeters. What about this one here? It's 48 millimeters, and that is 4 centimeters and 8 millimeters. Final one then, have a look at that last arrow, so the last red arrow in the top right-hand corner. Can you give me that measurement in centimeters and millimeters, please? So we can see that it's just past 8 centimeters. And if we count really carefully there, we can see that it's 2 lines on the scale past 8 centimeters. So if we thought about that in millimeters, the 8 centimeters is worth 80, and then we'd be counting on to 81 and 82. So this looks like 82 millimeters. Okay, quick bit of conversion then. So 5 centimeters and 3 millimeters. What's 5 centimeters in millimeters? It's 50, isn't it? So we can add those together. 50 and 3, it's 53. Okay, time for you to have a go at some of this on your own then. So I will scroll through the next few pages, pause on each one, and come back to me at the end for the answers. Okay, thanks everyone. So here are your answers for today. Well done for giving this a good go. Hopefully you've been converting and finding equivalent lengths between these two without problems. So a really good thing you can be practicing at home now to sort of take this on a little bit further is, again, do some measuring of your own and give those measurements in 2 different ways. So say what something is in centimeters, say what it is in millimeters. You could even combine what we learned on Friday with what we learned today, and you could maybe have a go at converting between meters and millimeters. That's obviously a little bit harder. That's going to be a bit of a tricky one, but that might be a good little extension task for some of you if you're finding this a little bit easy or if you've whizzed through that without problem. Okay, thanks everyone. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you back later on.